Hello, my fellow gamers and non-gamers. This is Drist. In-game name for Shroud of the Avatar is Shroud. And today, I want to show you how to teleport, use your teleporting skill or your recall skill, while overloaded with your weight capacity. So in this game, if for those of you that are still learning this game, we have this little thing called weight, which is basically how much you can carry. And when you get to a certain point, which as you can see here, I'm currently overloaded with, it starts applying a negative penalty for you, which right here, I can carry a max weight of 489.2, and currently I have on me 762.8. So I'm seriously overloaded. And there are several ways that you can increase that weight capacity, how much you can carry. Any skill that increases your strength will increase that weight capacity. And there's also a skill in here under your skill tree, under the tactics, right here, heavy lifter. That also increases how much you can carry. But those are kind of outside the scope of what I'm talking about today. So let's say you've already trained those up, and for the most part, I currently have a large amount of weight that I can carry normally. Now, there's one extra thing you can use that really boosts that number. Normally, my number is about 382, but right now I'm sitting at 489, my max capacity. And that's because right up here, I have an obsidian potion of capacity, which these things take, you can buy these in-game and consume them, and for 7 days, it'll add 50% of your carrying capacity. So that's the first thing you can do, which if you're going to do a lot of mining or resource gathering, whatever the case may be, having one of these on you is highly, very, very beneficial, along with some other ones. So that's the first thing I have. And now let's say you've been out mining for a week, and you have a ton of resources, right? For example, I'm carrying 621 gold, 1,318 granite, 68 ore, and tungsten 335. So let's say this is what I've been out resource gathering. Now I want to travel all the way back to my home base. But let's say my home base is really far away, and I just don't want to have to travel at such a slow speed all the way back. Oh, my back is hurting, and I would love it if I could just recall back. Well, guess what? Now you can. Well, you can if you use this technique, I should say. So, let me get myself turned around here. There we go. I have a special deck that I've created specifically for when I am overloaded and I want to recall back to my house. And I call it the Max Carry Weight deck. And here's take a gander at it, shall we? So I have this skill in here, Topor, which can be found under the earth cat tree right here. And it is this one, right? Where are you at? Right there. So obviously it's at the very end of this tree, so you have to work your way through. You get that to 40, get this to 40, get that to 40, and then you can start training this up. But it's actually quite beneficial. What this skill does is when you activate it, it will causes the caster to become one with the earth, and the caster will be unable to move, will act more slowly, but will be more difficult to damage, which that's not why we're using it, by physical attacks, and emerge in a more healthy state. Now what this does is it will immobilize you for a short period of time, which is fine, but what it also does, it will add, for my skill level, a plus 13.2 strength for 46 seconds. So when I add strength, I add how much I can carry. Now if I stack two of these, that will increase that 13.2, and if I stack three of these, that will increase it some more. So the more of these I stack, and we will explain the whole stacking of a deck thing later, but right now I activated my deck, and let's say this one popped up here. I have a couple of slugs here, and there we go. So I have two of these. If I stack them together and then use them, I'll get even more strength added to my pool for that period of time. So that's one of them, Topar. And let's go back into my deck here. As soon as I emerge from combat, which I just did. So that's one. And what I've done is I put that one in all four of these, and I unlock the deck because I want them to roll. And then I use this one, Strength of Earth, which is also under the same strength of the tree. It will add 11.7 seconds for 2 minutes and 8 seconds. And if you stack those, that'll increase how much strength they'll add, which will increase how much you can carry. And I have two of these here. And then we have this one, Inner Strength. It's a heavy armor skill. And it's right there. And it'll also add strength. For my skill level, it adds plus 45, or plus 11 for 45 seconds. And once again, if you stack those, if you have your deck open, unlocked, and you're rolling through them, and two of them pop up and you stack them, you'll get more strength for that 45 seconds. And the final skill here is this Berserker Stance. And it can be found under the Tactics tree, right there, Berserker Stance, which means you would have to train this to 40 to get that to 40 before you can finally find a way to here. But it is beneficial because what it does, at my current skill level, and I only have it at level 40, it adds plus 28 strength for 1 minute. So basically all these skills will add a certain amount of strength to you for a set period of time, which we've already determined that if we add strength to our stats, that increases how much we can carry. And if we have our decks unlocked, so they're not locked into place, they're unlocked, as they are popping up, there's one Berserker, there's a couple slugs, so if I stack these two together and I use them, I'll get even more health out of them. Stack these two together, use them, get more, and a couple slugs here, so we'll fire past those. There's my shield one. And there's another one, so now I've had 3 of those stacked, and you kind of get the picture. The more you stack, the more strength you'll get. And by stacking all those, and then firing those all off at once, it'll boost our carrying capacity up, and the goal is to exceed that number, which will take us out of being over encumbered. And once we're no longer over encumbered, we can then use our recall scroll to jump back to home. So let's see that in practice, shall we? And one other thing I want to talk about before I demonstrate it. Go back to this deck here. We want to use this Topar first. Once we've stacked enough and we're comfortable with what we've stacked and we're ready to start firing them off, we want to use Topar first, and here's why. It will lock you down and stop you from being able to use everything else for a brief period of time, and just a handful of seconds. Which means we want to wait for that effect to wear off before we then proceed to fire off this one, that one, and that one. And now whichever one of these in order you want to do, by all means, pick and choose. But like I said, I like to use this one first because it will freeze us up for a moment. And then once that effect wears off, then we're free to tap these other ones and then see what that puts us up to, and then recall back. So without further ado, let's see how this works, shall we? So we're going to go in combat stance here. There's that, there's that, there's a slug, and you can right click on the slugs to get past them. And I'm not really activating anything. I want to stack these things. So there we go. I got 2 of those. Now I have 3 of those. And I'm going to use that right now. That one goes up. And there's another one. There's my Berserker. And once I'm going to stack 2 Berserkers. And we're going to use that. Stack 2 Berserkers. Use that one. Use that one. And we currently have exceeded to 800 right now. So we currently can jump. We can actually use our recall scroll. So as you can see, our weight capacity is currently 800. We are in excess of what we can currently use. So we are recalling back to base of operation. So you basically just let the deck roll, and every time you stack 2, it extends the life of the cards. So that allows you to kind of keep things up a little bit longer and stack them a little bit more, and it keeps them up a little bit longer until you're ready to fire them off. So my system's a little old here, so it's going to take it a moment for it to phase into my home. And I believe there is a artifact out there that will seriously increase your carrying capacity too. I've been hearing talk about that. I don't know what that is or what it's called, but that would be fantastic if I could get my hands on one of those. I've heard people that were able to recall carrying several thousand pounds or whatever those things are of weight. So that would be fantastic. Talk about saving some time, having to travel all the way across the world map where you're overloaded. Now you don't have to. Well, it depends. And obviously, the higher you train those skills, the more power you're going to get out of them. And here we are. We're back at the base, and our weight is, the effects have worn off, and we're back to normal. But that's fine, because we are back to where we wanted. This is my home. Right here. I actually had a demo there. There's Tatiana. He's the governor of this fabulous town, which is the home base of the Lunar Dragons. And that's who my guild is, Lunar Dragons. If you would like to join them, our player-owned towns are Baylenair, Valhalla, and Crossroads. And if you come to one of those locations and find an officer or find a dragon, and we can hook you up with an officer. And then it's 1,000 gold to join. And yeah, we're a fantastic guild. So there it is. That should help some people to be able to travel more quickly to where they need to go while being overloaded, and save them a little bit of time, because the quicker you can get back to drop things off, the quicker you can get back out to harvest some more resources. So this was just playing Shroud of the Avatar, and in-game name is Shurtiggle. And if you like what you see, please subscribe. I would greatly appreciate that. I would truly love to have comments of what I could do better. And like the video if you would like it, share it as well, and I will talk to you folks later. Have a great day.